Okay, so on Lamed Amud Aleph, Gemara is saying that the posel of the lulav is posel because of a mitzvah ba'avera. So it's posel on the second day of Yom Tov because Mishum Dehaveli mitzvah ba'avera. Now, if we just have a look at the Rashi here, try to see what is mashmos here. Af gozol yafina minei. So if it's stolen, there is no takana for it. La'achar zman. So seemingly going to Rashi, once you have the theft in the item, it's done. It's stolen, and now it can never be fixed. Even achar zman. The afilu b'yeush. So therefore, even before the yeush is when he's talking about here, and then even after yeush, he still can't. It's still not going to help you. Dushmina le. Lamare. So what is this yeush? You hear the master saying, "I vayle lechesron kis." This is classic Rashi that you have to hear the guy saying for yeush vayle lechesron kis. To hear it, you heard him say, "Woe to me! I've lost my money." Even though de le'inyan makni, even though you can koine it, we say in Bavakama that he's koine le b'yeush. So therefore, Rashi is saying you stole it. After time, you koine it. The Havidi day, and now it's yours. If you lohachi akaruve lemizbeach lo, you still can't makriv it in the mizbeach. And we see in the Tosfot that we're going to learn out from korban up to all mitzvahs. So it seems to be that Rashi, once you steal it, it can never be fixed. Now, just to contrast why that's a chiddush, Tosfot is not really going to say it in this one. He'll say it later that the mitzvah ba'avera means that the mitzvah you're doing has an avera done in it. So the simple example would be that you lift up the lulav to do your kinyan gezela on it, and that's where you're trying to be moitzi the mitzvah. So that's to be the same time that you're doing the mitzvah, you're doing the avera. Whereas Rashi seems to be saying it doesn't matter. So therefore, if you have yeush and you koine it, according to Tosfos, it's yours now, and therefore you don't have any issues of mitzvah ba'avera because it's yours. You own it. But Rashi is saying here, seems to be quite clear, even though it's yours, if you lohachi, you're not allowed to bring it to the mizbeach, so that the korban on the mizbeach comes at a later stage. So, Ashidas Rashi, Tosfos. V'hatitanya lekeman berach lulav v'arava, lechem mishlechem, lehoitzi et ha'sha'ol ve'et ha'gazol. Now we're bringing the pasuk here is, how do we know mitzvah ba'avera shene'emar havitem gozol v'sepaseach? So we have a completely different pasuk in lulav v'avera lechem mishlechem has to be yours to bring out the shol and the gozol. Mishum shol. So the implicit question of Tosfos here is, why do I need this pasuk of lechem for gozol? I know that the gozol from the havatem. So it says here, Mishum Shol Itzracha. So that this avatim gozol v'piseach, that is only talking about it's not talking about Shol. So therefore, lechem mishlechem is only moitzi the Shol. So we have two psukim. One is the v'havatem, and that's been moitzi the gozol, which that has an avera in it. If you borrow it, there's no avera. So therefore, I need a second pasuk, which is lechem, which is no good on the first day, as we learn later on a different mission. The belav lechem nafkalan gazol mishum mitzvah hababa avera, which is this our pasuk here. And even though that the dachvagav the crow the gavi korban kasiv, because this is vavetim gozol v'sapaseach v'sachoila, that's all a stolen korban. So we're learning that you can't bring a stolen korban. But what's it got to do with stolen lulav? Because the crow the gavi korban kasiv who had den bekol mitzvahs de deraisa. So this is the same thing for all mitzvahs deraisa. So what's Tosfos saying here? That a mitzvah ba'avera is only good for deraisas and is not good for derabbanans. So if you have a derabbanan, then a mitzvah ba'avera is good enough. Kedemucha paresha gozel kama gave harei shegozel seya shel chitin v'tachana v'afa v'hefresh mimana chala. So you steal the chitin, which is the raw wheat, and then only after that you toichen it, and you bake it, and then from it there you mafresh challah. So this challah is the deraisa. What you're doing, is that you don't make a bracha on the challah because the challah is coming from the avera. Now here, seemingly, the avera didn't come at the time in which you did the mitzvah, because you stole the seiv chitin, and then once you have the tachana, you have a shinoi maisa, which we'll get into more later, but that shinoi will then make it yours, and then you bake it, and now it's yours, and you're taking challah from it, that you don't mevarech eliminad. So Tosfos here seems to be agreeing with Rashi. It doesn't have to be at the same time. So the Raish is bringing here that challah is a mitzvah deraisa, and that mitzvah deraisa is no good for it's mena'etz because of mitzvah ba'avira. The crow is talking about korban. No, hu adin b'kol mitzvahs. Dehavi deraisa. So we just see there that Gemara makes no sense unless we're learning from there. But later on we see that we posel the lulav shel ashera v'shel irin adachas. This is in our Mishnah, but we get this far later. Why are they posel? Misham de makita shiura. Because there has no shear. So there, the Gemara basically says that it's not just a stam lulav of Avodah Zarah. It is a lulav of when Moshe, the Asherah shel Moshe, that when Moses came into the land of Israel, they had this mitzvah to burn all the Asherah trees that were in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, since all the trees were oimid to be burnt, so therefore it doesn't have a shear because its saifai is that it's going to be destroyed, so it doesn't have a shear. So Tosfos asked, mitzvah hababa avera. Why do I need this whole din of it doesn't have a shear? It's an avera because there was avodah zarah done to the lulav, and therefore that should be a mitzvah baba avera. And also a mai sharinen delav ashera de Moshe. So since we're only saying that the ashera that was in the land of Canaan when the Jews entered, they're the ones that are no good for a lulav. So they're mashma that just a stam ashera, that if a goy does avodah zarah on the ashera, so then it'll be mutter to use as a lulav. So in the Mishnah that says Asherah posel, it's not talking about a goy doing avodah zarah on a lulav tree. It's at the time of Moshe when they enter in, the Canaanites, that they had to destroy all of the trees. So it seems like it's the Asherah today is mutter. Why? It's a mitzvah baba avera. So Tosfos teretz again, you saw din in a mitzvah baba avera de lo dami the gazel. Because when you steal the lulav, the machmas avera hagazel baha mitzvah. Because only because of the avera of the gazela do you have the mitzvah. So if you don't have a lulav, the only way you're doing the mitzvah of lulav is because you stole it. Now you stole it, now you have the lulav, and now you can do the mitzvah. Shiוצא bo, aval hani atu machmas avera shene'esis bo, that the avera that was done to it, minafik bay. So is it because you did avodah zarah on this tree? Is that why I'm yotzeh my lulav? There's no connection between the avera that you're doing to it and me being able to be yotzeh the mitzvah. And therefore we don't have a mitzvah baba avera unless the avera is the cause of me doing the mitzvah now. So when here you have an avera done to the lulav, but the avera done to the lulav is not the reason that I'm being yotzeh now. So therefore we have a difference between when I steal it. That's the only reason I can bench the lulav now is because I stole it. So there's an avera in the action of benching the lulav, kaviyachol. But when you have just some guy did avodah zarah, it's nothing to do with me now, and therefore he did avodah zarah, and I'm yotzeh. But it's not because of the avodah zarah that I'm yotzeh. Even if he didn't do avodah zarah, I can be yotzeh with this lulav. If I didn't steal it, I wouldn't be yotzeh with the lulav. Umihu, yesh sfarms to garsim lekaman amat nisan de esrog shel ashera my time mishum dehavi le mitzvah baba avera. So he asked the question. This is why we're saying that thing. So again, we're going to get this clear that here we're dealing with lulav. There's a Mishnah later on talking about esrog. Tosfos is asking here, why do we talk about here the lulav not having a shear? Why do we say mitzvah baba avera? He says, but look, when we're discussing esrog lekaman, it taka says that it's the Asherah esrog you can't be moitzi with because it's a mitzvah ba'avera. So Tosfot says, oh, look at that. You kind of based on the Havmim right before. The Taka says that in the Esrog, the girsa mishubeshesi. If you look in the Meforsh and the Rosh and the Raavad deal with this girsa, and you can makayim the girsa, what the problem with the girsa is. Tosfot just says it's a girsa mishubeshes. The simple reason why it's mishubeshes is because why by lulav is it different to by esrog? If lulav is because it has no shear, so therefore esrog is because it has no shear. So elatam of the esrogs become the mekutza shiura. The esrog nami boy shear ke egos or ke beitza. And if the whole, because the lulav would have said mitzvah ba'avera if that was really the din. We see by esrog that you have a shear, ke egos or ke beitza. So therefore we need the shear. So therefore, the afal gav the amrin lekaman taima mishom de lo gamar pira. So that why do you need egos or ke beitza? Why do we need those shirim? Because if they're smaller than that, then they're not. The pre isn't gomor, and it really means it's never going to grow. We see if it's a green esrog that's going to turn yellow, that's okay because like it's a full pre and it's going to become yellow. But here it's never going to grow, and the fact that it's so small shows that the pre itself hasn't grown properly. So there's some type of problem with the pre. It's a stunted esrog, and therefore it's not hadar. And therefore, you need that shear. And mikol malkam be'inyan de minkar lekite. So he's saying here that the point of the size isn't really that it needs a shear. It's just because it needs to be gomer pre. So we don't technically have a shear with the esrog. Mikol malkam that you need it to be minkar that you're taking it. To mahai time of paslin lekaman pilpelim. We were saying maybe pilpel, which are the peppercorns, not a red pepper, but the peppercorns. We're saying maybe peppercorn is what we need to be taking for the esrog. It'd be a lot cheaper to get a tame peppercorn, a tam peppercorn. But the Gemara rejects it and says that if you take a peppercorn, you can't see that you're actually taking it. That lekit, it says lekach, it says take the pri etz hadar. If you take a peppercorn, you can't see that you're actually taking this lekicha. So therefore, you need a shear, you need a size, and therefore, if the shear is cut down, you see, if you have the Mekita shear, that there is no shear, that's still got Gomer Pri, because the Asherah tree of the Esrog is Gomer Pri. So if it gets destroyed, it's still Gomer Pri, so I don't have a problem with it. So the fact that I needed this egos and the Kebetza, so that's not enough for me to need to be puzzle for the Asherah because I'm going to burn it, because I just need Gamar Pri for Agos and Kebetza. And I have a Taka Gamar Pri. It's a big, I've got a big Esrog this now you've destroyed, so it was Gamar Pri. But I need the Minkar Lekichta, since the shear of that Esrog is going to be destroyed, that's not called I can take it because the shear is lacking. Mehai Taima Paslina Lekaman Pilpol Umihu Tema. We still have this question, but Perikol Shah de Tanina. Ein Yoitzin Yadei Matzah Betevel. You're not Yoitze Matzah with Tevel. Why not? V'darish Le Mikro. We take it with a posuk. So Tosfot is saying, Tipuk Le Mishom Mitzvah Habaa Ba'avera. De Ka'achil Isra V'nafik Yadei Matzah. So, Tevel. You're not allowed to eat Tevel. It's an Issa D'Oraisa to eat Tevel. And I need a posuk to say that I'm not Yoitze with Matzah at the Seder. Now here's a good case of typically Mishum Mitzvah Ba'avera. Now why does he add these words? When he's eating the Isser, he's Yoitze the Matzah. So this is the classic case of the Mitzvah Ba'avera happening at the same time. Because you're eating the tevel, which is an isser of eating tevel, and you're eating the matzah, so you're yoitze the matzah at the time. When you're eating the tevel, you are eating the matzah. You're yoitze, you're yechidas matzah with the avera of eating tevel. So Tosfot leaves it as a tzarachi, and he leaves it as a kasha. Again, this is a good case of when Tosfot brings a tema, he either makes a chiddush teretz, or he leaves it as a kasha. Here he just leaves it as a kasha. So since you have tevel, you're eating tevel. It's mitzvah ba'avera. Why do I need it? He says mikro. Why do I need a posuk? A posuk is mitzvah ba'avera. Now, here we have this Zion here. Obviously, Tosfot doesn't answer it. This Zion basically says, have a look at this Tosfot on Tes Amud Aleph, v'hahu mi boile. Basically, Tosfot here says, Yesh loimer de taima de mitzvah ba'avera lav deraisa ele midirabanan. So you can only use the mitzvah ba'avera for a derabanan din. Doesn't work for a deraisa. Which Tosfot obviously doesn't bring here, because that would answer up here that we have tevel is a mitzvah is an deraisa, so therefore I can't be using a mitzvah ba'avera to answer why. So if I need a pasuk, because only if it's an issa derabanan do I use mitzvah ba'avera, just like in our Gemara where I'm talking about the second day. The second day is possible because of mitzvah ba'avera. Now this Tosfot doesn't hold of this. I mean, we said above. Even though mitzvah ba'avera is a kro gabe korban, who would then be called mitzvah dehavi deraisa, and tevel is a mitzvah deraisa, where the echilas matzah is a deraisa. You can't have it with the thing. So it's a bit of a. The Marsha brings up that this Tosfot doesn't hold of this Tosfot here. Tamid mishum mitzvah ba'avera lav deraisa ele midrabanan seems to be maklokas and Tosfot in here, because he's tackling learning this posuk. This is a posuk of a mitzvah ba'avera, and it's only deraisa, mashma, and not derabbanans, and so therefore, what's going on here? Because again, the Zion is the Mesor Shas. The Mesor Shas is the Shalta Giburim. I mean, he's a it's not like Oz v'Hadar are putting this in, or at least they shouldn't be. Mesor Shas is the Shalta Giburim, and he's a proper he's a early Achron, I believe. So, therefore, this is his. Again, he doesn't necessarily say anything. Look at this Divrei Hamaskal, but L'chayr, this Tosfot doesn't hold of that. Okay, so here's the Rav Eliashiv on the Kash of Tosfot. Mishum dehaveli mitzvah ba'avera haksha Tosfot lama likro. Therefore, so matzah shel tevel. What do we need the posuk for the tevel? The ein yotze ba yidei chovaso. Tipuk le dehaveli mitzvah ba'avera shechidas tevel. So now here, just l'chayr yesh nafkamina, b'choyle sheyesh bo sakana. This is so geschmack. He's found an nafkamina where I need where we have a case where there's no mitzvah ba'avera. You have a choyle sheyesh bo sakana. Shemoter lo b'chilas tevel. So this guy, a choyle sheyesh bo sakana, he can eat taka tevel. Therefore, there is no mitzvah ba'avera. Ve'im kain ein kan avera b'chilasu. But tzarech letzesi dachivaso b'zeh. So now he can be yotze mikom makom ein yotze bezeh. Why is he not yotze bezeh? In a vera bezeh. To make the crawl to ein ze kasher lechila v'letzis ba'yirech v'zeh v'dok. Alright, that's such a geshmak ater. It's like, yeah, what's wrong with Tosfos? So I need the pasuk for this guy who doesn't have an avera in his eating. Tosfos says it's a baba avera because I'm eating the tevel and that's an avera. But I've got this guy, he's a cholesh yesh po sakana, who can be taka yotze with the tevel. And the pasuk says, taka, you're not yotze. And chayra is just a simple geshmak ater to Tosfos. You don't need this, you don't need that. Just poshes, just so poshes. And that's like, that's a teretz of Tosfos. Like, what was Tosfos thinking? Next, Tosfos, ki ykriv michem amar rachmana v'lav didehu. So it's yours, it says michem. So michem means it has to be yours. And this isn't yours. So tema. The meruba memat gazel. How do you know that gazel doesn't work? Midichtiv korbanot. Korbanot means has to be your korban. The hachami might claim midichtiv michem. Here he's coming from michem. Afalgav the ika muki. So why do I have two psukim telling me the same thing? Even though diki mukle hasam but gazel korban dechavrei. So even though over there in meruba, we need two psukim because. There's two types, because when you steal it from your friend, A is stealing, B, A owns the korban and B stole it. If you steal the korban of your friend, that means that A has already makdished the behema. But in our case, you steal the behema and you makdish it. So in the first case, A makdished it, you stole it and brought it, maybe A is Yoitze his korban. That's a completely different chiddush to me stealing your cow, me makdishing it and offering it. That I'm not Yoitze my korban. In a completely different dinim. Where A makdish did and I brought it for him, not according to his das. There you need to know with the second posuk that he's not Yoitze. And here's my posuk of Michem, where I steal it, I makdish it, and then I'm not Yoitze the korban. So they're two different cases. Kasha leman delo moikile hachi. So they who do it like us, that korbano is just, B steals it and B brings it. B steals it, makdish it, and brings it. So therefore that'll be the case like us. V'od, kasha, another kasha. So our first kasha is what are only two psukim, according to at least one man damar. V'od kasha, dehasa mashma, de lifnei yeush lo tzarech kro. So before Yehush, so our case is before Yehush. See, in that they have Yehush, and so our case is before Yehush. But over there it says that we don't need a posuk for before Yehush. Therefore, we should need a posuk here. To darish korbono v'lo hagazo. You're a korban and not a stolen one. V'kamar heichidomi. What's the case? Ilema lifnei Yehush lama likro. I don't need a posuk before Yehush because before Yehush, it's for sure not. It's not mine. I can't bring it. V'od kasha. Ha michem darshinim beperes kama duchulin. Michem v'lo kulchem lehoitzies amumar. So michem. Again, this pasuk michem is like the first pasuk in Vayikra, or the second pasuk. Deber b'nei Yisrael v'amarti lehem Adam ki yakriv michem. So man who you bring from him, again, is a big. We did a Likutei Torah on this. What is michem from you? But the michem is from you. Because the pasuk actually says, "Ki makriv michem," meaning I'm bringing some Jew as a korban. That's what the pasuk is saying. The pasuk pshat. But michem is not all of you are allowed to bring it, and brings out a mumar. So a mumar is a Jew who would say he's break Shabbos before Hesia. He brings a korban, you don't take it from him. Michem b'chem halachti v'lo be'umos. So therefore, a mumar from the umos you can bring from them. So goyim are allowed to bring korbanos, and even if he does avodah zarah, you're allowed to bring korbanos of a goy. So the michem says someone who's doing avodah zarah of a Jew, that's the mumar Jew. You don't bring his korban, but michem, it's you that I'm saying not mumar. It's in the umos. Whereas so this michem is given a whole different drasha. We're using michem to say that it has to be yours, and since it's not yours, because it's lifnei yesh, so it's michem. It gives a completely different drasha. So what happened to our drasha of michem that you can't bring as a korban? So even though you could say it like this, so that the reisha of the kro, he brought the reisha of the kro. Here we're just bringing michem, but that's not where the drasha is from. The drasha is from the seif of the kro. So at the end of the posuk it says, "Umen hatzon takrivu es karbon chem." So karbon chem is really the ikar drasha. Karbon chem, it has to be yours. That's the seif of the kro. And really, when it just says michem, we're not darshaning from michem, because michem diz is whole michem and not the mumar, and it's from the core seif of the kro kadarish. Just like Rabbeinu Tam explains for the Lotis Chanin and the Sof of the Umar Kedushin. So if you have a look in Kedushin, there's a drasha like this where Rabbeinu Tam is saying that the Lotis Chanten that's not where the drasha is coming from. That's just the beginning of the pasuk, and the drasha over there in Kedushin is at the end of the pasuk. So that's just an example of when we have that lo mashma ken klal. It's not mashma there at all. Beitois is basically saying that it's not mikrav kem. The Gemara is not saying that the drasha is from mikrav kem. It's a proper drasha of michem amar rachman v'lav didehu. So it's proper michem. It's a proper drasha of michem. So it's lo mashma ken klal that we're doing that here. We have two other questions anyway of using michem. So even if we answer that way, it's still this third kasha, still a good kasha. V'yesh loymar dahad ka'amar b'meruba. So now, because again, the whole thing is saying what's this michem in meruba Carbono in Meruba. What's the whole din in Meruba? Lifnei Yeush lama likro. Why is it saying Lifnei Yeush lama likro? Mishum de Lefi Yeush ein yochol lahakdish. There's a whole other sugya going on in Meruba. Before Yeush, we have two people. We have the Baal and we have the Gazlan. Nobody is able to be makdish the behema. The Baal cannot makdish the behema because it's not in his reshus, because the Gazlan stole it, and the Gazlan isn't able to be makdish it because it's not his. The Harehu Cholan, it's completely Cholan because neither of them can be makdish it. Even if the Baal makdishes it, it doesn't do anything, and even if the Gazlan makdishes it, doesn't do anything. Therefore, this behema is Cholan completely. Therefore, it's a special din of Lifnei Yeush. In that case, we don't need a pasuk. Kadabrin and Gazo v'lo nityaishu habaylim. Someone stole. There's no Yeush. Shneihem enim yochol lahakdish. Neither of them can be makdish, as I explained. The ish ki yakdish es beso amar rachmana. So now Tosfot bringing in a brand new pasuk here. Ish ki yakdish es beso amar rachmana. And this is really the reasoning as to why over there in Meruba we can't makdish the behema. It's not because of Michem, because of this pasuk of ish ki yakdish es beso. Ma beso barushuso. Just like his house is barushus, because karka is eno nigzela, since the land is not stolen, so therefore it's always in your reshus. Karisa b'meruba, as it explains there. Your house is in your reshus, so too the korban has to be in the reshus as a hekesh. V'afilu man de palig, even though there is a palig lo palig ela b'bailim, ela b'gazlin gufa muda de enu chol hakdish. So therefore he still learns. So everybody holds that from this pasuk, ish ki yakdish is biso, is saying that you can't bring a stolen behema. So why are we bringing Michem here? Since we're learning it from Beso. This is really the teretz of Tosfos, that we're not learning anything from Michem. We're learning from this pasuk here, ki yakdish Beso. Why are we bringing Michem here then? Afal gavta mi Beso nafka. Right, so this is like the key teretz of Tosfos. See here, that why are we bringing Michem? We're learning from Beso. So Beso is the Ikr Limud, and Michem is not where we're learning from. So that answers all his questions. That why in Meruba are we gazel from Carbono? Well, we're not, because we're bringing it from Beso. And Carbono is that it has to be yours, and Michem has nothing to do with it, because Michem, this is the real drasha here of Michem v'lo kulam. That's the real drasha of Michem. So, Korbono is after Yeush, and Beso is Lifnei Yeush, and Michem is a whole different drasha. There's that. So again, Michem shouldn't be here, but we're taking a case of Lifnei Yeush, so therefore we should be bringing the pasuk of Mi Beso. Mi Beso nafka, because we're Lifnei Yeush, we should be from Mi Beso, when Korbono is after Yeush. And Michem has nothing to do with us. Michem is a mumar. So that's his question here now. So now he brings like this bit of chiddush here. Orchet the Gemara bahachi. This Gemara does this all the time. That brings a drasha that's not true. The maisi Michem mishum de ilo kasiv beso have a makmin Michem lahach drasha. Taka, we're learning from Beso. But if I didn't learn from Beso, I'd use Michem to learn the same drasha I'm learning from Beso. I would learn from Michem, and therefore I'm bringing it here and say, oh, Michem is to lafuke there. So Ba'alfi Emes, I'm not learning from Michem, and therefore Michem is free to do this other stuff. But I'm saying the Taka saying it here, but I'm Taka learning from Beso and Michem, yeah, that's fine from other stuff. So I'm kind of, there's like a Giloi here. If I didn't have Beso, that's what I would learn Michem from. Michem is from Mumar. Yeah, that's because I have Beso. But I wouldn't learn Mumar if I didn't have Beso. Beso frees up Michem to learn Mumar, and if I didn't have Beso, I wouldn't learn Mumar. I would Taka just learn Michem has to be yours. See, both of these psukim, which is Carbono and Beso, Aiser le Michem lehoitzi es a Mumar. Yeah, for libechem chalakti, and in you I chalakti, because you have the mumar, and the goy is mutter as a mumar. Now, to kavese action, we're going to give some examples here of how we have such ideas. So in Perach Echa Dinim Emonos in Sanhedrin, we have a Dershani Nagayim Biyom. So the words here we're going to have this drasha on Biyom. Biyom, how do I know? So I have to see Nagayim. You only see people's Nagayim during the daytime. How do I know? Because it says Ubiyom, Harasa Bo. So in the day you see him. That's how I know Nagayim. So now we're going to have that's Tsaras. You see the Tsaras of the house or of the body. And Moy Cotton, we have Mokile Lechatan. So the Chatan is Biyom. Biyom, in the day you will see him. That there's Yom that you will see, and there is days that you don't see. So that if the Chatan got married, so therefore you don't look at his Tsaras for the Sheva Brachas. You leave him alone. Even if he has Tsaras, you don't go and Basel. But that's nothing to do with Ubiyom and Belayla. That's nothing to do with that. That's days in which you have it. Ubiyom nafkalan, and how do I know that I have to see a taka during the day and not at night time? Midachtiv kenega nirali, v'lo laori. So it's nirali and not in my light. So you have to have light from my side. So it's a whole different drasha. So even though if I had this whole thing, how do I know nagoyim biyom iktavu biyom? But that's not true because biyom is for a chatan, and I'm learning nirali v'lo laori. And also in the end of Perek Sheni of Megillah, the law Mochulin Ela B'Yom. How do I know that we don't do Mila in the day? Because it says B'Yom Shmini. Uba Perek Rabbi Eliezer de Mila Mokile B'Yom Afilu B'Shabbos. So why does it say B'Yom? Yes, let's talk about Laila, even on Shabbos. So it's nothing to do with the other. Uba Laila, where do I get it? I get Laila from a whole different drasha. Ben Shmonim Yomim. Yomim V'lo Laila. So here we have a drasha that the Gemara just completely drops and learns the drasha from a completely different place, and that whatever it was learning from that drasha, it learned from somewhere else, and we have it in many places in Shas. So the Chiddush here at Tosfot, he's explaining to you why the Gemara does this. That if I didn't have this drasha of Yom and not of the Chatan, of the Yom, some days you see him, some days you don't, I would learn Yom and Lo Laila. And if I didn't have this Yom Afilu B'Shabbos, I would learn Yom and not Laila. So that's the Chiddush of Tosfot, and that's why he's saying that's why the Gemara does these things. So here, and again, so we have Michem has to be yours, even though it's not true, because we learn Karbono and Beso, and Michem is taka saying not a Mumar, but here, if it didn't say Mumar, if I didn't have that drasha, I would learn Michem and not yours. So the previous Tosfos was going on before Yeush, and now if it's after Yeush, Gemara says Hakanya Beyeush. So for Karina Bey, Lechem Mishlachem. And again, the previous Tosfos we had, he said that this Lechem isn't a real posuk here. It's not a real drasha because it's really coming from Beso and Karbono. Beso is before Yeush, so Karbono would be after Yeush. But seemingly, since the Gemara is running off Michem for whatever reason, as we've already explained, so Tosfos is just saying here, so since it's Kanya B'Yeush, therefore that's going to qualify for Lechem, that it's yours, and therefore that it should be okay. So since you acquire it with Yeush and it fits the pasuk of Michem, therefore the Gemara comes out that it's possible because of Mitzvah Ba'avira. But Tosfos says Mashma to Kazavar Rabbi Yochanan Yeush Kadi Kani. Now Yeush Kadi just means Yeush by itself, because we're going to have different permutations of this Yeush. Yeush plus Shinoi is Kaina, but here we have the idea that just Yeush by itself. And again, Rashi says that the owner says Oili lechesron kis. So when you hear the owner despair, that Yeush itself is enough to be Kaina. Kasha de Meruba Kama Rabbi Yochanan Tashlumi Arba v'Chamisha Chiyuv ben lefnei Yeush ben la'achar Yeush. So the Tashlumi Arba v'Chamisha is going on a cow or a sheep that you stole, then you tavach it, you shecht it, or you sell it. And if you do both, that you steal it, and then the one thing you stole you shecht, or the thing you stole you sell, so there it's Arba v'Chamisha. So Rabbi Yochanan says you have to pay Arba v'Chamisha. So you're mechayiv in it bein lifnei Yeush bein la'achar Yeush. Now, if it's achar Yeush, v'i Yeush kani, am I chayiv? Why are you chayiv achar Yeush? Because the Yeush now becomes yours. Shalohu tovech, shalohu moicher, and instead of being chayiv 4 and 5, you should be chayiv kefil for the stealing, not chayiv 4 and 5 because it was yours. By the time you shechted it, or the time you sold it, it was yours. Ki hagavna daik hasim la'al. So again, hasim going in maruba above, not as late as samaches, but samach zayin. Rav Sheshes imilted the Rav the kamar kinam shechav Rav amar lahash maita. So this Rav Sheshes is attacking Rav. Rav is saying that achar yeush you have to pay arba v'chamisha. So Rav Sheshes is saying, were you sleeping when you said this? Because once you coin it, once it's yeush, so therefore you're coining it, you don't pay 4 and 5 when you coin it. So it's the same idea we're having here with Rabbi Yochanan. So we have a stira in Rabbi Yochanan. So in the Gemara here we have a maklokas Rabbi Yochanan and Shmuel. Rabbi Yochanan holds that it's a mitzvah بعבירה, so he brings the whole memra. So therefore this whole thing is going in Shittas Rabbi Yochanan, and then Shmuel later on in the Gemara holds as taka kosher on the second day. A goza stolen lulav taka kosher on the second day because he doesn't hold of a mitzvah بعבירה. So this is all in Rabbi Yochanan. V'od the Bagoizo Basra, which again the end of Bava Kama. Shamein behedi le Rabbi Yochanan mishmei de Rabbi Yanai to shini rishus v'echar kach yeush lo kani. So if it's shini rishus, and then you have yeush, it's not kani. So if we're learning, we need a yeush and also a shinoi. So therefore I'll say yeush and then a shinoi will work. However, if I do a shinoi first and then I have yeush, so it won't work. So that all makes sense. But if yeush kadi lo, if yeush kadi kani, then I don't care what happens before. Shinoi rishus came first, but I don't need shinoi. All I need is yeush, so therefore you'll be koina. If you hold that yeush by itself is koina, so by itself the yeush by itself should be enough to be koina. If we hold that yeush kadi is kani, the whole thing is yeush kadi is kani. So therefore, who cares if the shini rishus happened first, happened after, or never happened? Once you have yeush, it should be koina. Therefore, it will be said in the name that for Rabbi Yochanan is lo kani. V'yishvarm de garsim haka. Ha Kaniya, the sulo. So the Gemara says Ha Kaniya b'yeush. So that's mashma. Again, it's mashma that it's yeush itself is koine. So Tosfot is trying to say that Rabbi Yochanan needs both. He needs a yeush and he needs a kinyan, shinoi. So as far as Shagarsin, Ha Kaniya means it's Kaniya, it's koine. How is he koine? The Gemara doesn't say. Therefore, the answer is with yeush and a shinoi. That's what the hakani, because I don't see the sulo. I don't see b'yeush. B'yeush means yeush, and I don't know anything else. Hakania just stam. It just says hakania leaves off the word b'yeush, so therefore I learn hakani with yeush and a shinoi. But once I have b'yeush, therefore it's mashma rak b'yeush. I don't need a shinoi. Ve'ifilo garsin and b'yeush. And even if I have taka the word yeush, I can explain it. Yish l'farish hachikamar. Really is what I'm saying. Hakani b'yeush v'shinoi Hashem. So even though it says Kani b'yeush, it's not mashma yeush. Yeah, it's shinoi Shem as well thrown in there. I mean, it's not great, obviously, to do this diuk. I would prefer not to have it say yeush at all, because it's not saying yeush, so it's mashma. I'm kind of with the yeush. I don't need anything else. But really, even if it says yeush, it means yeush and shinoi Shem. As we say in Meruba, Haganav. Now, again, where's the shinoi Shem coming from? How do I know there is a shinoi Shem? Not every yeush has a shinoi. Oh yeah, every time there's a yeush, you'll get some type of shinoi later. No, there's no shinoi later, maybe. So, Tosfot is going to prove there is a shinoi Shem. And that shinoi Shem comes with the yeush. Haganav gazlan, hekdash and hekdesh. So the ganaf and the gazlan, again the ganaf is someone who steals like behind your back, and therefore I don't know if you have yeush or not. And the gazlan steals it from in front of your face. He just takes it from in front of you, but you're not going to do anything about it. So when their hekdesh is hekdesh. And even who says yeush lo kani, even over there, why is the hekdesh not kani? Because there's no yeush there. Mishom dahai ke yeush v'shinoi Hashem. So even though he says the yeush, it doesn't kind of. Why over there does everyone agree the hekdesh? Because there's a shinoi Hashem that happens as well. Mi'ikar rocholin v'hashta hekdesh. So the ganav and the gazlan, they steal, and there's yeush, and then they makdish. Everyone agrees that the chal's the hekdesh. But some hold that I need more than just yeush. No, because hekdesh itself has a shinoi Hashem. Because mikara cholim v'hashta hekdesh. So therefore, see, by our case, we're asking in the state of the Gemara, why is the Gozel Dumia de Piseach? Why is that koine there? Because it's a korban, and the korban is hektish, and therefore in the posuk, because we're asking up here about some Gozel. These are all korbanos. So I stole it, and then I maktished it. This is where we get why least late takana. Why is there no takana? If it's bishlamei lefnei yesh, ach ha kani beyesh acher yesh ilalav mishum dehavile mitzvah ba'avera. So we're going on these words here. Ha la'acher yesh ha kani beyesh. Now there is really going on the posuk va'avesim gozel that it's no good. It's not makabel. There's no mitzvah. It's not makabel. So there, Rabbi Yochanan there, where he's learning the whole mitzvah ba'avera, is because it's hekdesh, and that hekdesh comes with the Shinu Hashem. So that when you makdish, obviously by the lulav, you also have a Shinu Hashem, but we're not talking about that now. We're talking about Rabbi Yochanan going on the pasuk. That's the same in the Meruba, where you have a Shinu Hashem because me'ikar cholim v'hashta hekdesh. So that's basically the end now. We're saying that Rabbi Yochanan needs Yeush and Shinoi, and there's no such thing as just a stam koine b'Yeush based on the other Gemaras we had as a stira, and that there's a memela, there's a Shinoi Hashem here. Them Taimim Kain, my perachasam, Abai l'Rava. There can be a difference in some people try to change this to Rabba. Damar Yesh Kani. So over there, what's this whole question of Bai asked to Rava? It says Yesh Kani. So Rabba's Shita is Yesh Kani. So Bai asks him, it says Karbonov lo hagazel. So why was Rava Dachik and gave him the answer, the Gazel Korban Chavrei? Rava gives the answer that he stole the Korban of his friend. So again, we saw this last time where if he stole the korban of his friend, so therefore A is maktishit, B stole it and makros it. That's the case of korban. He stole the korban. It's already a korban. He didn't steal the chulin of his friend. So even if, so Bein Abaye and Bein Rava, like what's Abaye even asking? Because we're saying every time that you makdish it, there's a Shina Hashem there. So Abaye, why is he asking Rava? Rava says that the Gazlan never makdished it. It was already Kodesh, but Mamanashach, the Ika Yeush, V'Shini Hashem. So Rava, who just needs Yeush, he'll be Koina, and Abaye, who also needs Shina Hashem, there's a Shina Hashem. So this is really the Shita here. That why is it possible? So we have the mitzvah ba'avera. So why is it possible? Because I'm koine it, and therefore I need the possible because the mitzvah ba'avera. So that's what we say here. We're saying here that we have the mitzvah ba'avera. That's the proof of Rabbi Yochanan. Why is it no good? Ha kanya b'Yeush. Why is it no good? Elalav mishum davar mitzvah ba'avera. So Rava shouldn't have answered Chavrei. He should have answered, even though he's going to be Yeush, it's a mitzvah ba'avera. That's the answer he should have given. But he didn't. He said this korban Chavrei. Kamo ken kasha b'sof hahi shmaita, the daik Rabba, the Yeush kadi lo kani. So this is also why up here they change it to Rabba. Because here Rava is saying Yeush kadi lo kani. Midechtiv korbanov lo hagazel. V'ula Nafkele hasa mi gozel dumia de piseach, which is our posuk. Delisle tekanta. So there's no tekanta bein lifnei yesh, bein la'acher yesh. So the whole question here is that we're taking all these things from the pesukim to show that it's posuk. But maybe taka, the whole point is that he's koine it. We're trying to learn the yesh kedi lokani because I need karbono. But maybe taka, he was koine the korban and it's still possible because of mitzvah ba'avera. Ula is nafka that you need yesh is not enough. Gazel dumi to piset deleish lo takana. Even after yesh there's no takana. But maybe you're still kani. You can't. There's no takana because of mitzvah ba'avera. How can you learn that yesh is lo kani from these psukim? It's that no taka yesh maybe yesh is koine and still it's possible because of mitzvah ba'avera. We're learning from our Pasuk here, Korbanot Dumia to Pesach, and we're learning, you're koine, Bishlima Lacher Yerush HaKanya. So why is it possible? Why is this whole possible korban? Because of mitzvah ba'avera. So they're two. How are they learning? Tosfot is asking, how are you learning? Yerush kadi lo kani. How are you learning this from these pesukim? Maybe taka they don't work because of mitzvah ba'avera. So Tosfot now needs an answer for why mitzvah ba'avera doesn't work for these pesukim. V'yishloimar de'im isa de yerush kadi kani. So now he said, this is how we're going to prove it. Because if Yerush Kani by itself, there is no mitzvah ba'avera. De'im isa de Yerush Kadi Kani have shelo koidem hektish v'sulo chashav mitzvah ba'avera. Therefore, is no further, it can't be a mitzvah ba'avera because it's mine now. Since it's mine, I'm not bringing the avera. Right, so we saw before that Rashi, once you've done the thievery at any point, and then, at a later point in the whole procedure, then there's the avera. So then there's the mitzvah. He was calling the mitzvah ba'avera. Really, up to this point in Tosfos, up to the Yeshloimer, now Tosfos is mechadeshin that if you're koine before the mitzvah, that's not called mitzvah ba'avera. That the mitzvah has to come at the same time as the avera. That's Tosfos mechadeshin here. Now Tosfos in the end, according to Rabbeinu Tam is not going to hold to this. Is this here? Rabbeinu Tam mefarish b'inyan acher. So that's going on here, this Eish Lomer, that this whole Chiddush now of Tosfos of that the mitzvah ba'avera has to come through with the Aver, which we'll get into. That's Mechadish here, not like Rashi, not like Rabbeinu Tam, but that answers up the questions, all the problems he has here now, because they were learning. Daik Rava de Yesh Kedi Lo Kani, Midachtiv Karbano, because if you're you koine it, and even though later you're doing the korban since you were koine it beforehand. Now there's no more mitzvah ba'avera. So this is at the end of our daf. Hashem. This is the bankari, the sales that they should liknu b'shinoi Hashem. So once they're koine with the shinoi Hashem, seemingly they can do the mitzvah because they're saying, how can you do the mitzvah hadassah if they're stolen? So therefore, how can you do the mitzvah lulav? So they're saying, well, they should be koine with the shinoi Hashem. Mashmati ikoni le matinafik le. There's no problem being yotzei with this lulav, with this stolen hadas. Once you're koine it, because the Gemara says koine it with the shinoi Hashem, and then seemingly you're good to go and you can be yotzei. V'lo chashem mitzvah ba'avera. It's not called mitzvah ba'avera because you're koine it already. Aval I yesh kadi lo kani. But if yesh by itself is not koine, va'al yedei hekdashin, and through them doing the hektish, they steal the behema, and then they do the hektish kakanile. So this is saying before that the shinoi, that it becomes theirs through the mitzvah of hektish. Through the mitzvah of hektish, they are koine it, and then you get the mikarachol and the hasha hektish, and therefore you get the shini Hashem through the hektish. So al yedei hekdashin kakanile deike yerush v'shinoi Hashem hashta, that you have the yerush and the shinoi Hashem at the same time. So here, through the mitzvah, you have the avera. There, the mitzvah of the hektish has the avera of stealing, and it now goes into your rishus, and now through that, therefore that's called a mitzvah ba'avera. As chashiv mitzvah haba ba'avera, and therefore so here is Tosfos shita strays from the other shitas where Tosfos is holding. It has to come together. If it doesn't come together, that's called a mitzvah ba'avera. And therefore, if the avera comes first and you're koine it, and then only later the avera comes, that's okay according to this Tosfos. Ubechulo shemai season to lo chashem mitzvah ba'avera heichid kanile. So the whole time we're learning this, it's not called mitzvah ba'avera where you're koine it. Metzina l'meimar. So therefore we have to say the kani kodim ba'aguda that you've already koined it by tying up the lulav. So when it says that you're going to koine the hadassah of the shinoi Hashem, v'liknenu b'shinoi Hashem, and then it's not a mitzvah ba'avera, so why not? Because you're not koine it with the shinoi Hashem. Has to be the koine koidem with some way, with the agada. So when you tie it up, so that's like a shinoi maisa. That's your koine, and then you have a shinoi Hashem later. And then if you lamantem arm the low boy eged, so if you boy eged, that's not a shinoi maisa because you haven't done anything by tying it up. Hakani le koidem yontav. So you koine it somehow before yontav. The kati lo chal chiyuv mitzvah. So before yontav, you've no mitzvah to pick up the lulav. The inami afilu b'Yom Tov. So obviously, if you're going it before Yom Tov, therefore when you're doing the mitzvah of the lulav on Yom Tov, you've already gone it beforehand. But even on Yom Tov itself, it's possible. The lo dami lemikdash tachal kinyan vehektish biyachid. Because it's not like the hektish. This only happens at the same time. So when you do the agad, when you tie it up even if you do it on Yom Tov, you tie it up and then later you pick it up. So, but by the hektish, you only get one shot at the hektish, and when you do the hektish, that's when you turn the chulin into chadush, you get the Shinui Hashem, and therefore it has to happen together. But here, by the lulav, if you tie it up, it's before you actually do the mitzvah of lulav. And also you have the case of where you pick up the lulav, and even if that picking up the lulav is your kinoi gazela, so put it down and pick it up again. So even if you have that, like picking up is your kinning geneva, put it down and pick it up again, and you're to the mitzvah. But by hektish, the Shinui Hashem comes with the hektish, and therefore it's licht in the hektish is the avera.
As in, you put it down and pick it up again, and it's no longer mitzvah avera. Because
if when you pick it up, that's your kinning geneva. So then that time you picked it up the first time didn't work. That's a mitzvah avera. Now you put it down again, it's still yours. Now it's yours. You pick it up for the second time, and it's not a mitzvah baba avera. V'ha de shmein le'ayol le'ula ba'gozo basra gave plukta de Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan ba'oiris shel ganav. So a ganav steals or skins b'shel gazlan. Yi stam ganeva yeush bailim or stam gazela kamar. Yeah, so ula. Is saying that Yerush is not koine, and he's proven it from the case of the oiris. So the bestam geneva, if it's just geneva stam, is a Yerush bailim, or only where it's gozel, because when it's gozel, it's taken right from in front of you. So of course there's Yerush bailim. The kamar ula maklokas bestam, v'biyadua. So when you know that there's Yerush, divrei hakol kani. So why, if you have so Yedua, that there's Yeush, everyone says you're koine. So where's the Shinoi? Hasamike Yeush v'Shinoi Hashem. Kedabrinim baha hishmaisid the Meruba, because there's still a Shinoi Hashem there. Because first it was called a mashka, is just like a piece of ore. It's a skin. The hashta karile avarza, which is like a tablecloth or it's a cut piece of skin that could be used as a covering. The had masham b'reisha gozel kama. So we did this case in the Tosfot above. Bahahi the guzzle saw. So he stole all the wheat, and then he turned it into. So what happened is that he got So Gozel saw shel chitin, so you stole the wheat itself, and then you tachan it, and then you offer it. So you have the shinoi because you stole wheat, and now it's flour, and from the flour you have challah. You have the challah or the flour to be mixed with the water to separate the challah. And so why, based on what we're saying now, since he was koine it before, so he's koine it, so therefore he's mafresh the challah. So therefore, it's his challah that he's taking. So why is that not mavarech ele ma'anetz? So that's where he's saying that this is proof that mitzvah baba avera is derisive for all mitzvahs. So now this becomes a kasha, because afakav deshinoi koina chashev mitzvah baba avera. So why is it still a mitzvah baba avera even though it's the shin on the koina? Afal pisha koina b'shino ma'isa koidim shabali deichi of challah. That because it again has to turn into flour. It was wheat and now it's flour. So Tosfot gives two terutim here. Hasam dichui ba'almahu. So there, it's just a push off. It's not a real answer. Yinami she'ein shiny bracha de'ikanami haskaras l'shem shemayim. Now these two answers, what the hell are you talking about? It's a dichui ba'alma. So the Gemara is talking nonsense. And what's Tosfot saying here to dichui ba'alma? And why is haskaras l'shem shemayim any difference? Why is that worse? So the chiv chala hasam dichui ba'almahu. So here we have in the Maharam dichui ba'almahu. Perisham Rotzelo Achiach, the Rabbi Svarle, the Shino Eino Koine. So we're trying to prove that Shino Eino Koine. Demar Goizel say, how do you see that Shino is not Koine? Chitim Ein Zeh Mevarech Elemanas. So we were trying to prove that he's not Koine. So V'dachi lei, and that the Gemara pushes it off. Shani Hasem Mishum to have a mitzvah ba'avera. So we're saying maybe la'olam yecholi yot tisfarle ba'al mashino koine. So maybe taka according to the shita he is koine. The mashma lefi shinoi dehasam defilu I shino koine mikri mitzvah ba'avera. So the Gemara is there saying there's no taka. He was koine is with the shino from the wheat into the flour, and why is and but still. So you can't prove from here that he holds that Ishino is low kona, Ishino ain't kona. Right? You can't prove that because maybe his kona is mitzvah ba'avera. The fila Ishino kona mikra mitzvah ba'avera. Like kamar toises dichi ba'almahu. So he's saying it's only dichi of ba'alma because the fia emes Rabbi says misam desarle Ishino ain't kona. Aval yihave kona le mikra mitzvah ba'avera. So the whole point of this Gemara. So if we have a look at the Gemara, so Hareza Gazel Seya Shachitin V'Tachran Va'afa. So here, that's Ein Ze Mevarach Ele Manat. Why is that? Al Pi MS. Why don't you make the bracha? Because he holds that Shino is not koine. Since he's not koine, it's not his. There is a taka mitzvah ba'avera here because the Shino is not koine. So then it says, maybe you can't prove that from there. Maybe Taka he's koine and it is a mitzvah ba'avera. So Tosfot says it's a dichi ba'alma, that no one holds of that. They're just trying to push off and say you can't prove from here that his shin is not koine. Maybe Taka shin is koine and he still holds somehow that there's a mitzvah ba'avera here. So it's saying that's not alpi halacha. So therefore, because Taka he holds the reason, because when he's teichen it and turns into flour, that's a shinoi, but he holds shinoi, he's in koine. That's why it's ein zeh mevarach. That's why Tosfot says it's a dichi be'alma, because this Gemara is not according to emes. You're just trying to push off what we're proving which is what that is the emes. We know maybe that's not true. You can't prove it from here. Maybe you can't prove it from here. So this fact, it's like maybe you can't prove it from here. It's just a dichi be'alma. It doesn't mean anyone holds that. He's just saying, Taka, maybe you can't prove it from here. So according to the first teretz of Tosfos, then you, Taka, make a bracha on that challah. Because over there is only a dicha, you can't prove it from there, but lemaisa, halacha, it's true. And therefore, that when you, so it's true that you were koine it, or he holds that shino eno koine, and therefore we hold that if the shinoi would be koine the mitzvah ba'avera. So therefore it's no mitzvah ba'avera, and therefore you make the bracha on the challah. So that's according to the first Tosfos. Inami shiny bracha. So now this is even if you are koine, so it's not like the first teretz. It's not a dichu ba'alma, but taka, but bracha is the ikanami has keres l'shem shemayim. So therefore, that this bracha all of a sudden is more machmir. And even though your koine is by your yoytze with the lulav, so he's saying here, yoytze with the lulav, you can't make a bracha on the lulav. So this hiskeres l'shem shemayim becomes more machmir, and therefore you can't make a bracha. Now we have here the Pnei Shlomo. Anybody know who the Pnei Shlomo is? So Pnei Shlomo is the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Ever heard of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch? So again, stop reading his random chumras in a Kitzur book and read his Perushim on the Gemara. So the Ben said, "Rani nami sheni shani bracha dichen nechzer Hashem ad kan l'shon it's in the Tosfos." Makshim Farshim, the Imkain, my perich, the Liknum B'Shinei Maisa, B'Shinei Hashem. So later on in our daf, we're trying to koine the Hadas with a Shinoi Maisa and a Shinoi Hashem. The Re Kati also levarach alav. Still, you can't make a bracha on this lulav. Should we not try to get a lulav that you can make a bracha on? Here, the law, you can't make the bracha on it because you're stole it and now you're koine it. And now there's no mitzvah ba'avera, but you still can't make a bracha. V'nira lefidus daiti liyeshev ki yesh leimer asvar de yesh lachmer le'inyan bracha. This is why we're being machmer inyan bracha. Zehu mipnei she'afol gav shekunu b'shinoi. Even though we've coined it, v'kom harehu chayev l'shalem et hadamim lehanigzal. You're still chayev to pay the money. Because man shelo shalom es adamim hare avera mivatseves bo. It's like floating there. It's resonating there because you still owe the money for what you stole. V'nikra boitza borach, and therefore the boitza is like the guy who's making money, making profit, or he's stealing. So here, Bnei Shloim is saying that why is the Skar Hashem shiny, meaning the bracha is different because you still haven't paid what you stole for. V'hini b'gazalakam. So even if you're going according to the Shar HaMelech, the Gambei, mitzvah v'heshev es gazeli. Even according to him, you have to do the hashev es and become nearer. If you have a shinoi, that's kind of the guf chefetz ve'en alav rachiv and od rachiv tashlumim. So once you're koine it, you don't have. So you have to return the gazela to the goy. But if you're koine with the shinoi, it's like paka that the hashava and ein alav od. Rachiv tashlumim. It's just like you're paying him the money, but you don't have the din of hashava. So this is like a shalom es adamim, the avera. Here is a chiv tashlumim. The gazalakim potter mit tashlumim. Does it have a rakim havkas havaso? So that the gazalakim you're potter from paying them because it's only havkas havaso. Havkas havaso is that you're getting rid of the loan that's being paid. So. Here, Nami has scarce l'shem shemayim. Here, so according to the Pnei Shlomo, is that the bracha until you pay the money that you paid for, so therefore you can't make the bracha. But if you steal from a goy, once you're koine it, you're good to go. L'fishi tezu sarach liyashiv sugi dehad nizaken da amarula davar Torah bein noida bein lo noida. So Tosfot has answered up other sugyas, but he's got other steers he has to answer up. Davar Torah bein noida bein lo noida ika enum mekaper. So this is a chatus that's stolen, whether it's known, whether it's not known, it doesn't mekaper. So we're saying, why doesn't it mekaper? You're koine it. Why is a chatus gozol a stolen chatus? What is not mekaper? And the sugya de gozol batrav, the sugya de maruba. So because of these kashas, these steers, these three kashas, Rabbeinu Tam and Farish Beinin Acher. So Rabbeinu Tam holds, like we were saying originally, that the avera that happens beforehand, now that's like the chatus gazula, it stays as a mitzvah ba'avera. Mishum kasha de'ula v'harbe erechti b'maruba u'berach ha'nezaken. So that's a kind of different Tosfos. So basically we have a machlokas here between Rabbeinu Tam and our Tosfos as to where a mitzvah ba'avera has to come at the same time. So at the end of the Gemara, then we have Shmuel is arguing on Rabbi Yochanan, and on the second day, you're taking Yotze with a guzzle. And he says, Bentoch Shiוצא בשאול, Yotze b'guzzle. So on the second day, you're Yotze with the guzzle. But again, this is not the sheet that we've been going with the whole time. This is Shmuel arguing on Rabbi Yochanan. Haka davka shehu midrabanan. Why davka on the second day are you Yotze? Because it is a mitzvah d'Rabbanan on the second day of Yom Tov. Lo chaysh mitzvah ba'avera. So on the mitzvahs d'Rabbanan, we have lo chaysh mitzvah ba'avera. So here, this Tosfos, again, we saw above that this is all Doraisa. So, but that's all Shitas Rabbi Yochanan. Here, when we're in Shmuel is only on the Rabbanans, and he's only on the Doraisas, and he doesn't care about the mitzvah ba'avera when it comes to. He only cares about mitzvah ba'avera, but the Doraisas, since the second day is a Rabbanan, he doesn't care about mitzvah ba'avera, but Rabbi Yochanan does care about the Rabbanans. So therefore, the Tosfos that we had on Tes Amud Aleph, he says that mitzvah ba'avera is only on the Rabbanans. So I mean, that's going like Shitas. Rabbi Yochanan holds it's going on both. Or Rabbi Yochanan is talking about only on the Rabbanan, but here we have Shmuel arguing on the. So the Chorah comes out that the three Shitas, we have Tosfos, the first Tosfos going like the Rabbi Yochanan there, Bein Deraisa, Bein Derabanan. We have the Tosfos isn't arguing here to the Tosfos, it's just going in Shita Shmuel. So Shmuel will say that it's only the Rabbanans and not the Raisas, and then the Tosfos on Tes Amud Aleph says it's only the Rabbanans and not the Raisas because the mitzvah ba'avera idea is not enough to be oiker mitzvah. If you do a mitzvah deraisa, the Torah tells you to do, you do it. Mitzvah ba'avera doesn't have enough power to oiker it. So therefore we have the three shitas, but Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan arguing And Tosfot is
Sorry,
saying
just
that
to
the
clarify,
ikr that the ikr maklokas is whether on a Rabbanan do we say mitzvah ba' avera or not.